Hi guys, it's Victoria Henrietta, the host of the V Word Show. Today I want to talk to you about Wiley's latest outburst.
Drake is a culture vulture. Ed Sheeran, you are a culture vulture.
Big Mike and Teddy are on grime.
You had to use grime to tip your song over the edge.
Right rhymes, but now I'm back in the biz with my guy.
Oh, Ed Sheeran penned a reply.
I want to know from you guys is Wiley correct? Is Drake and is Ed a culture vulture?
You lot, bruv. Look at you lot. Oh, Ed Sheeran pens a reply. You stupid people. Listen, I'm not politically. I am not politically correct. I'm not.
Why are you mad, Wiley? Like, why are you mad right now?
Do you know why I'm mad? Because I know what I'm doing. I always did, and a bunch of horrible paganistic people. That's their path to come and send me off of my path. Enough of them are pagan.
Who's a pagan? Because
Drake, bruv, Drake is a pagan. Drake is a culture vulture. Ed Sheeran, you are a culture vulture. You know what you said, Ed, at the beginning? You need me, man, I don't need you. That's what you said. But Ed, the other day, mate, you had to use grime to tip your song over the edge.
So with me today, I have Delroy.
Hello, hi.
Hello, and I also have man like Marvin.
How you doing, you all right?
Yep, so thank you for joining me, guys. The first thing, really, I want to know from you guys is Wiley correct? Is Drake and is Ed a culture vulture?
Well, first of all, is Wiley correct? You know, I'm gonna agree, and I'm gonna say yes. I think Wiley is correct because Wiley's gonna do Wiley. He's always done his thing. He's always been outspoken and come across a bit bonkers to a lot of people. His views are his views, and he thinks he's right. So, you know, he's right, and that's it.
And I agree with you. A lot of people do think he's bonkers, which I would like to cover as well. But you know, do you think that Ed is a culture vulture?
Yeah, I agree with Wiley. I'm down with Wiley.
Right.
I'm backing Wiley on this. Wiley, right, he's said a lot of things and he's been very direct, you know, with his kind of like dismantling of Ed Sheeran especially, and Drake, but, you know, let's focus on one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, Ed Sheeran, let's get straight to the point. He's used certain people's vibes. He's used the vibes of urban, you know, London music, grime, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And he's used that to like kind of like push himself to another level. You know, has that energy been reciprocated? I would say no.
Okay, what about you, Marvin?
Wiley. You know what? It's a lot deeper than just is Ed a culture vulture, is Drake a culture vulture. The thing that bothers me is that Wiley is wrong to a certain point in the way that he's delivering his argument.
Yeah.
So in the way he's communicating, that to me is incorrect. But I always call him the UK's sort of Dame Dash, because at the end of the day, what he's saying is right. It's just the way he's saying it. Do you get what I mean? And that's the problem that most people have. It's just how he says things. I think certain artists who would be considered mainstream are using sort of urban music to get more sales or to push their own sound forward. Ed Sheeran definitely knew what he was doing. His label knew what he was doing. And I think obviously when we move on to talking about Drake or asking the same question about Drake, you know, Drake would come over to the UK, bring people out. And I think in the interview that Wiley had, he said, well, you know, the artist who just come out of prison, his name escapes me.
Oh, Jay Huss.
Yeah, Jay Huss. You know, what's happened after that?
Yeah.
So yeah, that looked great, bringing him out. He's just come out of prison. Fantastic, the crowd goes crazy. Yeah. But then what? Do you get what I mean?
I mean, just to piggyback on that, a couple of things. For me, I don't particularly think it's right. I know a lot of these people live this lifestyle, but bringing Jay Huss out on stage just after he's come out of prison is not a good move. I don't think it damages his career because Drake, that is, because he can do what he wants. He's successful enough to, but you know,
Wait. No, he can't do what he wants. I'm with Wiley on this, you know. He can't do what he wants. Can I do what I want? I can't do what I want. If I want to do what I want, I have a whole heap of people come down on me and tell me, no, I can't do this, I can't do that. So why, just because suddenly you're very successful or you have, you know, power and money, why should everyone just like, you know, gift you the entitlement?
And
that you
and bow to you, and you know, you got to put that into context though, because at the end of the day, yes, J Hus needs to hustle himself. Like if someone's bringing me on stage or whatever, or I'm going to think, right, okay, how do I build off this? So there's a certain amount of work that he needs to do, but at the same time, Drake knows what he's doing when he's doing that.
Completely, I
Absolutely
agree.
knows what he's doing that. If he comes to the UK and just does his normal set, it's just good. If he comes to the UK, does his normal set, and then brings out J Hus or any other UK artist to show that he's in touch with the UK, his sales go up. Absolutely. 110%.
And that's my point. Isn't business? Why wouldn't he come over and use British artists to push his sound, to build a bigger rapport with the British audience?
Because
I
it's
don't
not
see what the issue
reciprocated
is.
in the same way. Even if you were to say, right, okay, well, it's Drake. Why should they get the same amount? Okay, well, they should at least get 50%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In return. And that's the issue. You know, he'll pick someone up and then put them back down again, and then that'll be it.
So what are we saying? Are we saying that maybe Drake has a bit more of a responsibility to follow up on this and perhaps take artists over to the US? Do you think that that would be a happier balance for people who are claiming that Drake is a culture vulture, he's jumping on our culture?
It's funny that you put it in that way, because if you're going to call it business, just totally business minded, some corporate organisations have a social responsibility. So they won't operate within certain areas without saying, right, okay, we need to give back to this area because we're going to do this here. So to a certain degree, yeah, you know, if you are going to use grime or use artists within the UK...
Exploit.
I was trying to be politically correct about it. I didn't want to be that harsh. But yeah, if you are going to exploit certain individuals, then there needs to be some kind of, not fee, but you need to give something back in exchange for that.
Which leads in really to what Wiley's saying. In his recent interview, which is kind of what we're referencing, talking to A-Dot on One Extra.
What went wrong between you and Ed between now and when you worked with him?
When I was working with Ed, I was working for him to do it for him. When it was time to do it for me, he didn't want to do it. When it was time to do it for me, he didn't want to stand up to his label. He folded.
He's saying, you know, it was all right for Ed to use me when he wanted me, but when I wanted Ed to do something for me, he wasn't ready to reciprocate. And to an extent, I agree, but I think Wiley comes across as this angry black man and he shoots himself in the foot, because I'm sure there potentially are people who appreciate Wiley for everything he's done for grime, for the UK sound in its entirety. Perhaps his look and his persona isn't necessarily what that they want to kind of brand it with their own.
Who, the artist or the label?
Well, that's another argument entirely.
Okay, yeah. First of all, Wiley is allowed to be angry. You know, it's not to everybody's taste, but he's passionate about something that he's been instrumental in kind of building up. And, you know, some people might say, he might say creating. So, you know, it's his art, you know, that he feels he's being, you know, attacked. But the second thing is, it's irrelevant that he's black. Do you get me? It's irrelevant.
Who's black? Wiley's black.
She said he's an angry black man.
Oh, okay.
But it's not irrelevant, though, is it? It's not irrelevant.
What's his blackness got to do with it?
I personally feel, as a black person, I have a responsibility to my people to bring us forward.
Yes, and that's good.
And
that's good. But this is
what you're
the
saying
perception
is
of Wiley
what you're saying
is
interesting.
negative.
Taking colour out of the equation is very, very interesting, because if you think about it, if we're taking colour out of the equation and it's just about I give you something, you give me something in return, then it's black and white. There's no grey areas. Do you know what I mean? I think when you add culture into it, when you add him being black, and whether it's reggae or whether it's urban or whatever, that's when you add emotional context to it. And it makes it worse. Yeah. It makes it a lot worse, because then you can throw in culture, vulture and all the rest of it. Yeah. But if you were to take all of that out and just talk about the basics, you're giving me something and then I give you something in return. Yeah. And I think where the problem is where someone's considered to be much higher up than the other person. Yeah. And from my perspective, it really shouldn't make a difference because I'm still getting something from you. Regardless of the fact that you're going to benefit more, then let's just talk about percentages and let's negotiate. But there still needs to be a two-way
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It still needs
Yeah.
to be reciprocal. Do you know what I mean? It still needs to be both ways.
Yeah.
It's funny because with the labels, there is a point system. You'll get some artists that will actually say, well, look, we're not going to charge each other. Put me on your song when...
You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Yeah.
But then, to a certain degree, that generally works when they're both of a similar level or they're both there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
When you've got someone that is so much more popular than the other person, I think that's where the negotiations are a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
But then it's still black and white. I'm still giving you something. You're still giving me, having to give me something back.
And one thing that Wiley says in his interview is, I did that, he won't do it back for me. They've said, no, he can't do this, he can't do that. Ed, I'm talking about. So is it that Ed doesn't have the power with his label and can't say, no, I want to? Do you think Ed doesn't want to be associated with him, or is it the label's fault?
That's a valid point for me. I think definitely there will be situations like that when an artist can't do something and the label puts a stop to it, or the artist puts out a track and the label takes it down, or whatever.
Yeah.
But Ed's huge now. Ed,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I keep calling him Ed like he's my mate. But
Oh, mate, Ed.
do you know what I mean? But Ed Sheeran is massive now, and it's been big for a while. I can't see if he really put his foot down and said, no, this guy's a legend. He's known as the Godfather to grime music. I definitely want to return the favour at some point. I just think. For him to say, "Oh no, I can't," because the label says no, is just an excuse.
Yeah. Let's be real. The labels don't care. They do not care.
You don't think that the label thinks that Wiley will be damaging to the brand, to Ed's brand?
All they care about is riding a wave towards success. That's all they care about. They don't care about who's under the wave, who gets crushed by the wave, who gets left in the wake of the wave. They don't care. And, we're talking a lot about Ed as well, but, this is all the whole Wiley interview and the whole new kind of furore has come about because of this little tweet beef going on with, Nicki Minaj getting pregnant and the popcorn tune not going ahead.
Yeah.
So it's all about that. It's, Ed is something that happened in the past. Drake is a big issue, and his name keeps coming up. Obviously he's like the hottest rapper globally or whatever. But it goes back to this thing about entitlement, and I really feel for the tune he did with Kayla.
Yes.
Little Kayla, man. Like, bless her. Where is she now, man? She deserves something. She does.
Well, but was that not her opportunity for Kyla to come out of the woodwork there? She got, a lot of exposure by being on that tune.
Did she really?
Well, of course, her name is on there, featuring Kyla.
I went on online and saw a few things where, especially in, because the tune was globally, big. In America, they're like, oh yeah, this reggaeton music is sick. Oh yeah, Drake's on this reggaeton. I was like, reggaeton, what are you talking about? So and there was no discussion where it's like, okay, let me educate you about this music. Yeah. You know what I mean? Same thing, he did a tune with Black Coffee.
Yes.
Bad tune, that's a classic tune. No, if you want me to adjust the camera now, I'm Drake. I was vexed when you did that tune. Don't touch that tune. No one should have touched it. You
it's a big
perfect
tune,
song. Just don't touch it.
Yeah.
But he touched the song, and Black Coffee let him. And I don't know. Well, I do know why.
Well, at the end of the day, it's business, isn't it? It's money, and he wants to make money. He's allowed the people to do the tune. We've got Drake, we've got Georgia Smith on the tune, both massive artists. Georgia Smith's blowing up at the minute, and Black Coffee has made money. His sound has also been introduced again to the world on a bigger scale. So it's mutually beneficial for all those people involved.
Well, do you know what's kind of becoming apparent to me is that there's two types of listeners in the world, and there's those who I guess are consuming the music, who are big on bling bling and money, power, success, and all this, and driving Rolls Royces and whatever, and the other kind of people who are people like Wiley, who are passionate about
the music,
and the people who create the vibes, and the people, because without them people and without the culture, if you want to call it that, there's going to be no future.
But with this culture vulturing, isn't that taking the genre forward, making the genre more widely known? I appreciate, actually, and I agree, there is an element of them being a culture vulture, and like you said, not then saying, well, this is who I took the sound from and this is what they do, and let me introduce you to this. There's no kind of give and take there. It's just very much, I'm using this sound and no explanation to it. So it is an exploitation, but they are also developing the sound. They also showing the sound to many more people. Well, so surely that's a good thing.
Until they put it back down again.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you ask me,
is that what you're saying though, that they used to choose to put down music? Is this music that comes and goes?
Picking it up and putting it back
This
down.
is what I'm saying, because people like Drake and Ed Sheeran, I don't know them personally, but from, and I'm not buying their music, but from what I see on the outside, exactly, they're picking it up, they're pushing it out as if it's their own, and then
so that's the issue, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, that they're making it seem like it's their own sound and not giving the recognition to the people that deserve it. Yeah. Which is valid.
And
I
I'm
think.
always, me personally, like, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but, I'm half Jamaican, and at the end of the day, like, I've voiced before, it's a small island, 144 miles across, and such a little people have such a big, massive influence on global culture.
Massively, yeah.
But there's got to be...
Someone has to defend that.
But I'm 50-50 though, because, like, there are millionaires that have come out of Jamaica. As in reggae artists who are millionaires who have come out. Not
Jamaican dollar or US dollar.
But they could do more for themselves. They could control things more themselves. And I don't want to go too deep into the topic, but I think it's down to black people as individuals. There's lots of millionaires. They could within Jamaica. They could quite easily come together, force this through, this whole topic that we're talking about in terms of the reciprocation and people of the culture getting more in return. They could do more themselves to influence that. Yeah. But I just think as black people, that's just not what we do. We don't often come together and say, let's work together. It's one of the brilliant points that Wiley made. And again, it's going to get missed because of the way that he delivered it and because people will listen to it and just say, oh yeah, it's just Wiley ranting again. But he made a fantastic point.
I read a thing the other day, do you know what it said? Drake saved Top Boy. Really? Listen, I respect the fact that he's backing them, but watch this. So we need Canadians and Americans to come and help us because we can't do it ourselves. Cool. But my genre has produced over 12, 13 millionaires. But we're all looking in the sky.
Dizzy Rascal's a millionaire. Wiley must be a millionaire. He's got money. Yeah. And you look at his value, you know what I mean? I think... I don't want to talk about other people's money, but he's up there.
He's on Instagram ordering new McLarens and
he's
talking about going Ferrari and this and that.
It's got to be worth it anywhere between 6 to 10 million, at least. You've got Skepta, you've got... There's loads within grime itself, Kano, within grime itself, there's enough money there for them to actually say, you know what? And not only is there enough money, but there's enough people who can communicate at the level required to approach Netflix. Yeah. Do you get what I mean?
But no one did.
No one did.
So why is Drake getting shut down for doing that? Because at the end of the day, again, it's that idea of it being mutually beneficial. All those actors are getting paid, all those producers are getting paid. This British show is being shown again, it's been made again. There's an audience for it. So why is it bad that Drake is the one that saved the day in terms of Top Boy? Why is that a bad thing?
There's an argument for both. There's an argument for both, but I just think let's wait to hear what Drake's next album sounds like.
Well, this is the thing. Each album sounds different. Each album sounds different.
Exactly. Before it was reggae influenced. Do you know what I mean? And he's had success with using a Dave track. Do you get what I mean?
But many artists do this, don't they?
But let's see what his next album
Look at
says.
Jay-Z. Is he a culture vulture because he got Linkin Park? Like, is that wrong for him to do that, or is it okay?
Well, this is the thing. Jay-Z, I think now you're talking about two different mindsets because Jay-Z is a businessman as well as an artist, and I think he has the intelligence to say, you know what, I'm not just letting you take our music, I'm going to flip it on its head and, it's like Run DMC, Walk This Way, I'm going to flip it on its head and I'm going to actually take from, popular culture or rock or, do you get what I mean? And let it work the other way. That's almost sort of, I guess, leaning towards the point I was making previously in terms of we've got to be clever about this. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We've got to take responsibility ourselves to actually make it work for us. Yes, if we just speaking in business terms, it is black and white. I give you something, you give me something in return. But we've got to go and get it ourselves.
Coming back to that point, where actually you've kind of come full circle there. We've got this idea that black people don't necessarily come together. Wiley's got a big track record of saying what he feels, being really honest, being very outspoken. And once again, we see Wiley out on a limb saying this, so-and-so's a culture vulture, I don't like this, I don't like that. And there's plenty of opportunity for other grime artists to jump in and say, I agree with Wiley, this and this, let me bring out a video.
No one ever does.
But no one does.
No
and
one
is
ever
that
does.
because, you know, Wiley's got these important messages, but are people not listening because of his style?
Let's tell it like it is. People leave him out on a limb.
Yeah. Why are they doing that?
People leave him out on a limb, and they make him sound. And in doing that, it makes him sound even more crazy. Do you get what I mean?
Well,
there should be a process whereby, if I say something as crazy as it might be, or you know, maybe
as controversial
as it might be, if I can't articulate it in the right way, someone else who can articulate it in a better way is supposed to. It's like a relay. You're supposed to hand the baton over to the next person.
Yeah.
Someone like Akala, someone like Kano, someone of that. Because at the end of the day, I've heard other interviews where they're like, yeah, I kind of get what he's saying. Well, say something.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And make it more articulate so that people understand it and people will actually stop and say, well, you know what? Yeah, he's got a point.
Well, he's definitely got an issue with his kind of like, you know, his PR style. But I mean, in the interview, going back to the interview, he starts off, he's kind of led by the presenter, and he's like, I'm mad. Yeah, I'm mad. And then he's like, I'm not mad, you know. And he's like, but I'm mad. And he's like, I'm not mad. I counted it. He swung backwards and forwards, and he actually said, I'm mad and I'm not mad, like 4 times. He's definitely passionate about his creation, you know, and the culture. The way I see it is like he's got to kind of, instead of just like continually ramming his throat, you know, towards the mouthpiece, he needs to maybe think about creating, you know, or establishing an institution that can bring people together. Do you know what I mean? Where
See, I wonder with Wiley whether this kind of outburst is just a persona that he keeps you know, for his brand. I mean, he's got a podcast coming out, so is this him just being very controversial so he can build an audience for his podcast so that people will want to listen?
I don't think he cares enough about his brand, though.
Really?
I don't think he really truly understands brand equity. I mean, you know, I suppose I'm a bit biased because it's what I do, you know, in the daytime. But if he truly understood his brand and brand equity, he wouldn't screw it up so many times.
Yeah.
Every year, there's something that comes up about Wiley and people are questioning whether he's crazy, he's not turning up to this, he's not doing that.
Yeah, so he didn't turn up to Glastonbury, for example, and rumour has it he didn't turn up because he was vexed that another black urban artist got the main stage. He got the second biggest stage and that wasn't good enough for him, so he, on the day, he decided not to go.
Again, it's probably a deeper conversation. You know, has he got the right people around him? You know, is there a sort of... I don't think he's crazy. Let me just say that before I say what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
I don't think he's crazy. But you don't get stabbed 20 times and it not have an effect on you. Do you get what I mean?
Can I just say this? If you're not crazy and you're getting stabbed 20 times, you're obviously jumping in the wrong kind of scenarios with crazy people around you.
Yeah.
So if you are continually going around where there's a whole heap of crazy people and you keep going back, then there's an element of crazy there.
But then that
because
speaks...
Check on yourself is what you should be doing, really.
But then if we look at Wiley now, like what, 20 years later, to me, Wiley is the same man now as he was when he first hit the scene.
Right, so partly...
So where's the development there?
But partly, some people would say that's testament to him being a real
being
person
authentic,
and being authentic. And there's values in that, you know, because some people strive for that and don't achieve it. You know what I mean? Across all platforms, social media, TV, whatever. The audience has become so intelligent that, you know, there are so many outlets out there that if you're not authentic, you'll get found out straight away.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So to some degree, that's an advantage.
Yeah.
The problem is there's no one there to pull him back and say, whoa, okay, here's the line. Do you know what I mean? The authenticity needs to be between here and here.
Yeah.
If you go over it, and then you're stepping into the realm of damaging your brand. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and I
And that's the
think for
problem.
me, I agree actually with what Wiley's saying, but I just don't like the way that he voices his opinions. And of course, he can do what he wants. He can be himself, and he should be himself. However, if you want your brand to grow and you want people to invite you back on their tunes or to come back on your tune, there is an element of professionalism. And I think not in terms of music, because I like Wiley's music. You know, I was raving at the Esky dances back in the day. I was a bit younger than I should have been. If he's a businessman and he wants to grow his brand, he wants to make new music, he should be being professional, and he should be coming across in a way where people are going to grab onto what he's saying and go, yeah, I agree with that. But I think his problem is a lot of people see his videos and they just think, God, he can't half moan. Wiley's at it again, moaning.
That speaks to him, that speaks to the people that he's got around him and the people and his experience. Do you know what I mean? I don't actually think that after going through what he's gone through, he's actually dealt with it. Do you know what I mean? Properly.
Yeah. So is this an issue of mental health, do you think? He was selling drugs when he was young, probably seen a lot of things that many people wouldn't see in his life. He was stabbed, he's got a big ass scar down his face. Has he recovered from those things?
I don't think he's addressed it, and it's a bigger conversation. It's not something that we're going to be able to sort of tack on to this conversation. But we spoke about Jay-Z previously. If we use Jay-Z as an example, from Reasonable Doubt to 444, his last album. Jay-Z's not producing 444 before now.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have the maturity or be able to be as articulate or to produce an album like that 15 years before. Do you get what I mean? So I think he has. Going back to Wiley, he has got growing to do. He has got things he needs to deal with. Right now, we're on the outside looking in, so we're just guessing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All we can see is the end product and the rants and comb through those conversations and say, well, actually, he has got points in. He is right in what he's saying, but unless we actually were able to sit down with him and talk to him about it, would you realise whether or not he's addressed those things?
So Wiley, if you want to come on, you can slide into the DMs, I'll get you in. We could do an interview. It is a tricky one, but as a black woman, I want to see my people grow. I don't want people, he needs
to evolve. He does need to evolve.
And I feel sorry for Wiley in that people look at his videos and think, oh, he's crazy. This is a man who smokes too much weed. Because these are the sort of things I see about his posts. I hear people talking about them, and I just think you're perpetuating stereotypes at the end of the day, because people are looking at you and they're tarring all of the grime artists with the same brush. But
can you just put it on him?
Well, no, but then Wiley's got beef with a lot of people in the industry. Look at him and Dizzy. They've had beef for 15, 16 years, and
but he's helped more people than he's got beef with.
Fair.
Just to defend him in that stance, he's helped more people than he's helped a lot more people than he's got beef with, and even some of the people he's got beef with, he's helped. Yeah. So, going back to what I was saying before, to a certain degree, as black people, I don't want to sort of keep segregating into black and white, but we need to actually pull together and say, well, you know what? We can see that this individual is revered as the Godfather of the game, and he should be ahead of the majority of the people who are up there at the moment, the Skeptors, even Chip, he
took Chip on. I think they were 16 or whatever.
Exactly.
And
Chip
extra
went
back
and
in the
had
day.
tunes with Chris Brown, and do you get what I mean? So we can see that he isn't where he should be. And
exactly, because to me, Chip has evolved over time.
Absolutely.
But then you could say he hasn't stayed authentic. Because if you listen, I can't remember the name of the album, but the album that he brought out, I think, Oops-a-Daisy, that with that tune on, it was very mainstream. So did he sell out to make his money, to make his sound heard, and Wiley didn't? Is that the difference?
Wiley's done popular tunes too.
But they were only his...
Well, more recently, Bossy is a smash. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And he's put out another tune. I think he at the time I saw in an interview, he said that Bossy was... all the money from Bossy is really for his kids, and he's now put out another one. I think he did a tune with Dappy, possibly, that he's put out for himself. Yeah. Which again is a very, very good record. Yeah. But ultimately, I just still think he's not reaching his full potential. You know, I just think he.
Well, that's why he's vexed, because he's got music to release, and people are holding it back. That's what he's saying.
But are people really holding it back? I don't know.
Well, he knows. He's living it.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
That's what he's saying. You know what I mean?
I just think there's an element of, if he was a little bit more relatable to the majority of the UK audience, that perhaps people would be more willing to work with him. So is he shooting himself in the foot by retaining this authenticity?
The way I see it, ultimately, he's, I hope he's happy. He doesn't come across happy, but I hope he's happy. But what I see is him ultimately trying to educate the consumer base. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
He's heavily invested in social media and has been for years, even before social media was a word, and or two words. And the way I see it is, even the interview that has brought this all about, it's all about him trying to educate people as to how it works and what's going on and other people's motivations. I think authenticity is a big thing for him. And
that's probably why he doesn't show up to a lot of the things that he doesn't show up to.
Yeah.
I think to him, I think he's been fighting with that for years. He's been fighting with trying to stay true to what he really believes in, and he just wants to do grime and so on and so forth. And then this thing where everyone's trying to pull him into the mainstream light because he's put so much work in and because he is that good. Anyone else, to me, who had put in maybe 50% of what he's put in, wouldn't be revered as the godfather of the scene, because and anyone else who had messed up as many times as he has, in some people's view, who had come out with so many rants and so many things online, they wouldn't be revered as the godfather. It's because he's put in so much work.
And he has he even got an MBE at the end of the day, for his contribution to music. So people are aware that he's made a massive contribution. He has been celebrated for this. So really now, for me, I just want to see Wiley being that more the approachable face. But I don't know if that's what he wants to be.
Once he actually retires from putting music out himself, because I think he talks about, I'm going to do a bit more and then I'm going to be behind the scenes and still be involved in music, but just play a behind the scenes role, whether it's studio or whatever. I think at that point he'll start to achieve more accolades, because there won't be anything holding him back, because at the moment, to a certain degree, he's his own worst enemy. But if you look at any mega star, they don't really, fair enough, a lot of mega stars are pre-social media, but the biggest stars, you don't hear from them.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? They just put out the music, they just do the shows, they just do the work, and they keep their brand equity or whatever keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Yeah. Their brand's managed by other people. Then they say the absolute minimum. Yeah. They only interview on the biggest platforms. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? The Jay-Z's, Beyonce's, so you don't see them online ranting like that. So I think when he's taken away from that, and his activity is mainly behind the scenes, I think. And
that's what we'll see. We'll see the music of Wiley, and we'll forget about kind of this angry face who's delivering valid messages, but perhaps in a way that isn't, widely acceptable. So I think actually what we're saying today is that we do agree with Wiley that we have culture vultures coming and taking our sound from the UK and not giving us, or Jamaica, and not giving us what we deserve in terms of the recognition. Although I would just like to say, Jamaicans love to jump on a tune. They'll pick up any tune. They'll just do a remix.
We'll take Dolly Parton.
Do you know what I mean?
Elvis, we'll take anything. You know what I mean?
Exactly. They'll be jumping on any tune.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Berries and Sanchez and all them.
But so that should be happening. I think that should be happening. At the end of the day, believe me, there will be royalties going back to those individuals for those covers. They're bigger entities. So if we borrow from them, it's not going to make any difference to their life to a certain degree.
It's the nature of the
Whereas
game,
if it's the other way around, because people within reggae artists or people within the urban cultures, they aren't doing the same numbers. If you look at some of the tracks that Drake's done, or you look at some of the tracks that Ed Sheeran's done, where the actual structure of the songs is exactly the same as a reggae song. Yeah. And then look at the numbers that's doing. There's no reason why reggae songs shouldn't be doing the similar numbers. Yeah, you could argue, oh well, it's Ed Sheeran on the track, but still, do you know what I mean? If you look at if you try and compare them like for like, it's a massive chasm between the two, really. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing though, isn't it? That Ed and Justin or Drake, whatever, they already have the fan base. So whatever they bring out generally is going to be a success, even if it's so different from the other sound, or if they're stealing a sound from somewhere else. Whereas perhaps these Jamaican artists that they're taking the music from, they don't have that already established listening base. So it's never going to be as successful, unfortunately. But I just think there is an argument for it being a positive thing that more people are hearing the sound, because when they actually look into it, I mean, not everyone will, but for me, for example, I like to know, what the cover is or where that sound came from.
Well, what I like to see people be progressive and, become educated on certain things. So if you're enjoying something, be educated on it, learn more about it, and understand, where the vibe is coming from. Like, if I hear a reggae artist cover a Dolly Parton tune from the 70s or something,
Yeah.
like I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but I'll go and look up that and find out about it, and I'll be like, oh, but Dolly Parton's actually got some tunes, and then I'll look into country and western and things like this, and and become more educated about the media that you're consuming. People should be like this. I don't see why they're not, but and the thing is as well, a lot of people look up to musicians. I don't know why, because it's not like they've done, philosophy and economics and whatever, study politics, because they haven't. Yeah, but people follow them as if they know what they're talking about. A lot of these people don't know what they're talking about, but they should recognise that they have followings, because they want to build followings. That's what they're there for, building their brands. So they should educate themselves too as artists, so that they can create better content. Do you know what I mean?
And I suppose really that's what Wiley's saying, isn't it? He's talking about people being culture vultures, and he's trying to educate people, the masses who aren't bothered. They just consume it.
And that's the problem. The masses aren't bothered.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about education, it actually goes deeper than that. Because in some cases, where people would perceive that urban artists or reggae artists or grime artists are borrowing from popular culture or borrowing from, whether it be sort of your country songs or whatever. If you go back further, those same people borrowed from black people anyway. So how can we be borrowing from ourselves?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. We made rock and roll.
That's what I mean. Do you get what I mean? Again, I'm struggling not to get too deep with this conversation because I'll pick one artist, Elvis. Like the majority of songs he had were written by a black guy.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Yeah. So if someone was to, in grime, I doubt it would ever happen because it'd be a crazy song. But if someone was ever to borrow something from Elvis...
Well, but look at all these latest grime tunes. What is the tune? Is it Skepta and B-Live, Murder on the Dance Floor? They're using a really
I haven't heard that, but it sounds dead. Sounds dead from
Well, it's random, I would say. It's a little bit random, but, they're borrowing... It's British culture, yes, with... What's her name? Sophie Ellis Bextor. It is British, but it ain't grime.
They should have gone with Ben's tune. Hey, what's wrong?
I mean, would have made a stomper. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me today to discuss this. And I think we're all in agreement that the term culture vulture is a real thing. People are stealing other people's sounds, and the recognition is not there. However, Wiley, we think your delivery is what is hindering your message. So we agree. But, perhaps you can deliver it a little bit differently. And to all those other artists that Wiley has helped out, you need to be jumping on and saving your boy and backing him.
Stop leaving him out to dry. Stop leaving Wiley
out to dry. Back him.
Chip and all those people who's helped, even Skepta who you got beef with, just stop leaving them out. Because people are agreeing with the points, they're just not saying anything.
I agree.
And I'm really sorry to butt in as well, but one other thing as well that I really get to talk about was I think that these guys need to kind of start using their eyes and seeing the abundance that is out there, rather than thinking, oh, there's not enough to go around, so I need to get vexed and hold on to this. You know what I mean? They need to kind of act more, not follow Drake, but I think this is where Drake is doing a good thing and ahead of the game. Yeah, is that he's kind of got his eye out there looking at opportunity rather than trying to...
And new sounds, he'll say, I like that sound, that's new, because he was over here going to footballers' parties and listening to the different sounds and then jumping on them. So.
I'm just saying, no more fear, let's just, if you want grime to take over, go ahead and take over, steps forward, not back.
Thank you very much for watching. I'm Victoria Henrietta, host of The V-Word Show. Peace out.
Wiley, what are you doing with the rest of your day?
I'm just going to Ferrari.
What, to just pick up a new one?
I'm going Ferrari to teach these people, I don't need your money's dead. I'll throw it in Tower Bridge. That's why I'm going to Ferrari.
Wiley, man, I love you so much.
Love. Enough respect, love.
Oi, are you gone? He's gone. He just hung up. Well.